Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Maps and Metaphors. This is Pranav, and I have a very special guest on this episode. He is going to tell us a lot about glaciers and the glacier adventure. And I'm very lucky to have him on this episode. I would let him introduce, and then we go further on this episode.
Yeah, my name is Haukur Einarsson, and I am one of the owner of Glacier Adventure, which is a company that allows people to experience glaciers here on the southeast coast of Iceland, in ice caves during winters, and then glacier walking or glacier climbing tours in the summer.
Yeah, that's a wonderful job that you do. Like, you make possible for people like us, like tourists, to see such a beautiful nature. You know, the beautiful piece of large ice that is there, ice caves, glacier walking. It's I think very magical. Like, I haven't had a chance yet to do it, but I think looking at the pictures and the experience, I could imagine like it's truly magical. So maybe can you tell a little bit about what glaciers are here, what are their name, and a little bit about their dimensions, and we can go a little bit technical as well. No problem. So could you please throw some light?
Yeah, so we are here located on the southeast coast of Iceland, which is, to be more specific, it's called Hali in Suðursveit, and it's very close by Jökulsárlón, the glacier lagoon, which is one of the most iconic part about Iceland, that most people that come and visit Iceland want to come and see the glacier lagoon. And the glacier that is, let's say, north of us, like in the highlands, it's called Vatnajökull. It's one of the biggest glaciers in Europe generally, and it's covering 8% of Iceland, around about 8,000 square kilometers. And the average thickness is probably 350 meters of thickness. But the Vatnajökull glacier has many different outlet glaciers, and we are very focused on going on a specific one that is called Breiðamerkurjökull. Almost no one can pronounce that unless he's from Iceland.
Yeah. I can imagine that. Yeah, the moment you told me, I immediately forgot also like how do you pronounce it. So I will have to probably replay, and even my audience. So, but it's good that we know the right pronunciation for this.
Yeah, so Breiðamerkurjökull means broad forest glacier, referring to the landscape that was here when the settlers came in the year 874. Then the island was forested. But throughout climate change, the glaciers grew at the Little Ice Age, and then it comes floating down, almost like you can imagine water floating from a cup. If you like spill a lot of water into the cup, and it overspills. So during ice ages, that is what is happening with glaciers. The outlets, they slowly crawl down, let's say like water in slow motion, because it's like thick and fast form. It's not water in the sense of floating water. It's just frozen water that is slowly creeping down, and it goes over the forest, digs out a path, let's say in the sand, that is now Jökulsárlón. So when the recession starts and the glacier starts to melt away because of now the climate is rising up again, then it leaves, let's say, the sand behind, the lake behind. But we have still kept the name of the Vikings gave to the area when they settled in. So we call it the Broad Forest Glacier, the Broad Forest Sand, and we have a iconic mountain there called the Broad Forest Mountain. But when they were here, they just called it the Broad Forest Area, the Broad Forest Mountain. Still, yeah.
Yeah, that's there seems like a lot of impact from the climate change. I guess the mass of the glacier is also impacted. If I talk in simple terms, and how do you see that affecting? Of course, that leads to rising sea levels and stuff like that. But how rapidly are you seeing the glaciers change over the years? Maybe.
Yeah, so basically from week to week we see changes, and month to month. And if you go on a vacation for 2 weeks and you come back, you feel like it's dramatic changes. And if I compare old pictures, it's kind of ridiculous how big the change is. And basically this winter I was a little bit shocked when I saw it. It's like it's happening faster, they're disappearing faster, which is, like you said, rising up the ocean level. But as we live close to the glacier, the land rises faster than the sea level because of the future or the past mass of the glacier that was resting, let's say, in the area. It adds volume on the land, so the land gets forced to be pushed into the magma underneath, and then the land sinks in. But when the glacier disappear and they melt, the mass goes away, it distributes in the ocean. So slowly the land finds a new equilibrium, so it's basically rising up. It's called an isostatic rebound, the technical term. But we here at Glacier Adventure, we use this knowledge that we have of the land, the culture, the settlement coming in, and then me as an Icelander still living on the land. We use it kind of to guide people safely on the glacier, to just have fun and experience the glacier walk, but also to educate them of how we see the climate change and try to trigger something inside them that they feel like they want to make changes for the future and in the future, with their, let's say, their own behavior, with their colleagues, with their friends, family, try to influence them to make changes that would lead us to more sustainability.
Yeah, that's very cool. And also a little bit sad to hear that the changes that are happening so rapidly. But on the other hand, I did not know about the rising of the land. That mechanism. Absolutely, I would have never imagined as a not expert on this, or even like someone who is new to this topic or subject. Does rising of the land means the glacier also get to a certain height? Like, do they grow in height? And if that's the case, how much is the, let's say, ice that's on how much proportion, let's say, or how much percentage still stays as the ice, and how much is the rest of the land when the land rises? So maybe a little bit not clear, but if you understood my question, maybe you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I can re-say it if that's not clear. So
I think it's okay. So if you think of it as a boat, and we take the boat to the sea and we start to put fish in it, and as the boat fills, we are doing well, we are fishing well, the boats get heavy, so it basically sinks in the ocean. And then when we take the boat to land and we put the fish on the shore and the boat gets lighter again, then slowly it bounces back up. So it's basically the same physics. With ice coming to the land, it's pushing the land to the magma below us. And then when the ice goes away, the magma kind of pushes the land back up, or the crunch. And if we rewind a little bit to the water, when you're pouring the water into the cup, so the peak of the little ice age was in the end of 1800, let's just say 1900.
Yeah.
And the overflow is always the same. So the height of the glacier is always the same, but the outlets, they get pushed further away. So you have more ice mass, like spreading around from the center.
Yeah, that's just a little bit clear to me now.
Yeah. So that's what we are seeing now. And interesting part as well, as Iceland is located underneath the fountain effect of the magma. So if we think about the core of the planet is fixed,
yeah.
Surrounding the core we have magma that is circulating.
Yeah.
And on the top, we have the crunch that we live on, the land. So Iceland is located above this circulation spin, where the magma is kind of circulating. So the magma is strong enough to push the crunch on the top away from each other.
Yeah.
And Iceland is basically located on two tectonic plates. We have the North America on the west and Europe and Asia on the east. So when we have glaciers kind of on the plates, they are helping them to stay closer together. But when they disappear and they get less pressure, it's easier for the planet to push them away, which will cause us to have more volcanic activity here in Iceland in the near future. Most likely.
Okay, that's very interesting knowledge, actually. And that also makes Iceland a very special place because geographically, you mentioned about the tectonic plates from two different regions. And at the same time, I'm a little bit curious. Greenland is not very far from here. Uh, uh, how would you be also able to put some information, like just a little bit of comparison of the glaciers that are on Greenland and the one which are on Iceland? Are they also, I mean, are the glaciers on Greenland also affected by the tectonic activity, or it's completely, unrelated? Maybe if you can comment.
Yeah, I don't know this 100%, but apparently Greenland used to be formed where Iceland is kind of forming now. And then, let's say, Greenland was being pushed further west.
Okay.
And then a new process starts millions of or billions of years later. And then Iceland starts to appear. So they are kind of outside of the tectonic plates at the moment. Like they are part of the older land formation. As we are kind of like a newborn baby, if you could say that land would be young and compared to older ones.
That's very clear, because I think everywhere we hear the description of Iceland as a newly born Earth.
Yeah.
So that very much justifies that statement. Is very logical to understand it like that. It's very interesting to know about the geography around this place and the glaciers, how important they are here. And any message for the people? Because I think we have been talking about it, the impacts. But in general, any message that you would want to leave?
Yeah, I think if we just all think about, let's say, how we can live life sustainable for us and our future genes as well, let's say children and grandchildren and so on. I think if we would fully understand the impact that we are having today with our lifestyle today, we might be able to do simple adjustments, but still live a very good and healthy life, enjoyable life, and at the same time make the future more sustainable for future generations. I think, that would maybe be my last words.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, thank you so much for your time and being on this episode. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys also enjoyed it. And very valuable information, a lot of knowledge on this. Well, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you for coming and hope to see you in the future.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Cheers. Bye-bye.